Make a difference, because trade matters. The world awaits you. The time to export is now.
Hi everyone, my name's Lawrence and we're really excited to announce a fantastic two-part series here with MATRADE in Australia on the mid-tier market immersion program. It's all about trying to showcase some amazing companies out of Malaysia to come into the Australian market. Joining me today in studio is Jamilah Ibrahim from MATRADE in Melbourne, as well as Julius Lau, who's the marketing manager of MATRADE Melbourne as well. Thanks so much for joining us, both of you.
Thank you,
Lawrence.
Thank you, Lawrence, for inviting us here.
Great. Jamilah, it's always great to see you, and we're really proud and excited to be part of this groundbreaking series, really, to try and showcase these amazing Malaysian companies who can't travel like they would have normally. So, I love the way that you're really changing the way that you can showcase their opportunities to the Australian market by using this platform. So thank you for that. Jamilah, please start by telling us a little bit about MATRADE, your role, and what the objectives are for this particular project.
Okay. Thank you, Lawrence. Okay. My name is Jamilah Ibrahim. I'm the Trade Commissioner of MATRADE Melbourne. Our office covers Australia, New Zealand, and also other Oceania countries. And let me brief a bit about our organisation, MATRADE. MATRADE stands for Malaysia External Trade Development Corporation, and we are the National Trade Promotion Agency in Malaysia under Ministry of International Trade and Industry, or in short, we call it MITI. So MATRADE actively involved in assisting foreign companies to source products or services from Malaysia. And as I mentioned in our previous interview with Lawrence, we have 46 trade offices all over the world. And our main objective, of course, to help Malaysian companies to explore foreign market. Yeah.
Great. And Julius, can I ask you, we've got quite a diverse mix of companies who are involved with this trade project. So, what are your objectives? What would you like to achieve for these companies here in Australia to give them not just visibility, but I know that this two-part series, we're going to showcase them one by one, so we can really use this platform to demonstrate what these companies can offer to Australian buyers and B2B, as well as just overall viewers, even consumers who might come across this platform as well. But what's the other role that you play, Julius, with the marketing side?
Essentially, the role that I play is to assist the Trade Commissioner, Ms. Jamilah, in achieving the objectives of MATRADE. Those objectives are quite clearly spelled out. We are here to promote Malaysia's products and services. To do that, to achieve that objective, MATRADE organizes many different promotional programs, one of which is the mid-tier program that we're going to talk about today. And therefore, my role is to provide the intelligence on the ground that's necessary to foster the network that is required in order to get these meetings in place, and also to follow up on these business relationships that we hope blossom from these meetings.
Yep, fantastic.
Can I
add,
because MATRADE is one of our objectives is to undertake activities for promotion program such as Malaysian participation in trade fairs, and this mid-tier market immersion mission is one of the trade promotion activities that we organize. Actually, for this mid-tier companies development program, we have started this program since 2014 to help the MTC companies in Malaysia. And every year, we will select about 50 Malaysian companies to participate in this program. As you know, MTCs in Malaysia are defined as companies with annual revenues between 50 million to 500 million ringgit for manufacturing sector. But for the services sector, the annual revenues is between 20 million ringgit to 500 million ringgit.
Right.
Yeah, even though mid-tier companies are not as big as SME companies, but they contribute about 30% of our GDP.
Yeah.
So it shows how important they are, even though they are, in terms of percentage, they are about 1% of the Malaysian businesses in Malaysia.
Fantastic. Yeah, I think those mid-tier companies, as you say, they're at the point where they're so important to all economies, but they're also growing quite rapidly. And part of this support role is to help them grow further and tap into new markets such as Australia.
Yeah. So as currently, as you are aware, Lawrence, my office are busy with inviting the foreign companies to take part in this program, because previously we have a physical program where the Malaysian companies can come here and visit the foreign companies, but now we have to change our approach, so we have to organize virtually all the program. They still can meet, but virtually. Yeah.
And I think that there's so many great opportunities because, yes, unfortunately, I can't meet face-to-face right now because of the restrictions on travel around the world. But it is still, as you say, able for them to showcase their products virtually. They can have meetings online. They can start to build their own relationships, and start to use the research component, making sure that part of this series that we'll talk to Mike as well from AMBC around making sure they can navigate the Australian rules and regulations in the proper way as well.
Yeah. That's why in this interview also I would like to, we have invited Mr. Mike Anderson, President of the AMBC, Australia Malaysia Business Council, to join us. Mike was our former market linker for building materials, and he has been very supportive to our program. I hope he can continuously to share his experience on the market with Malaysian companies. So right now, our office are busy with the arrangements of the virtual B2B meeting. So I think maybe Julius can give some brief on it. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you, Ms. Jamilah. Thank you, Lawrence. It sure feels like we've lost almost 3/4 of 2020. But we are still very grateful that bilateral trade activities continue unhindered, albeit slightly interrupted. So referring to Ms. Jamilah's introduction earlier, the mid-tier program continues to prove its popularity. The interest from Malaysia in exploring the Australian landscape remains very, very keen. So the mid-tier program was originally scheduled for March of 2020. It has been delayed until now. Since then, an additional 6 companies have come on board our program to market their products and services. If you allow me a short opportunity to give a plug for member companies. So Malaysia is well regarded for its manufacturing capabilities, and so we will be featuring Malaysian producers of industrial adhesives, electromechanical solutions, and building materials from concrete and metal. Malaysian companies are also embracing digital technologies, and so we will be introducing capabilities in developing Internet of Things solutions. Just imagine if we could apply this technology to monitor our shopping trolleys in Australia. Did you know that Malaysian architects are increasingly offering green building consultancy work? The tropical climate in Malaysia offers many opportunities for clever design to maximize light and manage heat. We will also feature this work as a service. Under the new normal, international travel has been severely restricted, so it is practically impossible for our Malaysian company representatives to present themselves in person, in country. So we have had to come up with new ways to match potential buyers with our Malaysian products and services. MATRADE headquarters has been a source of enormous support in this regard. I know for a fact that our colleagues in Kuala Lumpur have been working tirelessly day and night to create a virtual platform with which we can use to conduct this program. I invite you to visit www.matrade.gov.my to access this platform as a visitor. Alternatively, you may contact our office for further assistance in this regard. In Melbourne, we have been working on the ground to identify potential business partners for our Malaysian companies. This is still an ongoing effort. Even as I speak, I have my colleagues in the office sending out invitations and getting busy on the phones. As more and more people return to work, the response has been encouraging, and we hope to leverage on that to make this program a success. Thank you, Lawrence.
Fantastic. Thanks, Julius. It's really important the way that background that you set now, the whole framework for this series. As I said at the outset, we're delighted to be part of it and really proud to support the initiatives that you put together and the way that you have reinvented the way you can showcase companies by using the right platforms, leveraging digital technologies. And just hearing things about the green architecture, how companies can really work so well with those Malaysian companies over here as well.
That is our hope, yes.
Great.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
And I would also like to inform that we're going to have 2 series of videos on this market immersion mission.
Yep.
So please watch. Yeah.
Yep. So I suppose, with that being said, now that we've got the background of today's this really exciting two-part series, I suppose it'll be great, for us to officially kick off the mid-tier market immersion program here. So part 1, stick around after the break. We're going to be joined by our first company from Malaysia to showcase how they can provide their products and services to you here across Australia. And we'll be hearing from many, many companies for this it's a two-part series, I should say. And we'll then contact MATRADE as needed to get in touch with them and follow up so you can get in touch with them directly. So stick around after the break and we'll see you very soon. Okay, welcome back everyone. We're about to kick off with our first Malaysian company so they can showcase all their products and you can get to see firsthand what they've got to offer. So to join us now all the way from Malaysia, we've got WH Long from Excelvite. Great to talk with you, WH. How are you?
Oh, I'm all right. Thank you, Lawrence. Likewise, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Great. Well, unfortunately with COVID, we can't meet in person, but I'm delighted to have you as our first company to showcase here on the market immersion program that we're running. So thank you for joining us. WH, please tell us about Excelvite, what you guys do and the products that you offer.
All right. Thanks, Lawrence, for the introduction. My name is WH Leong. I am the CEO of Excelvite. We are obviously based in Malaysia. And what Excelvite does is that we extract phytonutrients, basically vitamins from crude palm oil, the red palm oil. And the vitamins are basically categorized into 2 segments. One is the vitamin E, which is a more potent form of vitamin E called tocotrienol. Mm-hmm. And then the other section of business is the mixed carotene. So what Excelvite does in Malaysia is that we extract the vitamin E tocotrienol as well as the mixed carotene from red palm oil. Wow. And these 2 phytonutrients are basically used mainly in dietary supplement formulation. In Australia, we supply to the likes of Black Moss, Nature's Own, and so forth. Mm-hmm. And the mixed carotene, besides being used in the dietary supplement, it is also used as a natural colorant in basically food and drink application.
Right. So you mentioned a few Australian well-known names like Black Boars and Nature's Own. So that makes sense with the vitamin supplement type of industry. But you've also just mentioned, WH, the food industry as well. So it sounds like as an ingredient, there's great opportunities. And what I want to ask you is, apart from Australia, what other markets do you export to and what are the typical type of customers?
Oh, yeah. When we first started back about 21 years ago, so Excelvite has been in existence for the past 21 years. Mm-hmm. So when we first started back 21 years ago, our first market when we exported was to US. So US remained our biggest market at the moment. Mm-hmm. And then we supply to Europe, Japan, and basically all over the world. And what we are looking at is to actually look into the Australian market and to basically grow the business, even though we have some existing customers in Australia, but we would like to grow it bigger. And obviously, through the MATRADE support and assistance, we would like to grow our business in Australia. So we are actually looking for dietary supplement companies, mm-hmm. Like the likes of Black Moss and Nature's Own and those kind of companies, as well as food and drink companies where they can use our mixed carotene as a natural colorant in their formulation.
Yeah, fantastic. I think so many companies, not just in Australia, but around the world, are looking for natural alternatives to those type of ingredients and colorings and so forth. So I'm assuming there'll be a great demand and interest in what you have to offer because companies want to make sure they're as natural as possible.
Yeah, exactly, Lawrence. You are right in the sense that a lot of consumers now are actually moving towards looking for healthy natural ingredient, and that's what Excelvite does, and that's what we give that kind of option to our customers to basically look at this form of vitamin E and carotene as a natural, clean form of ingredient where they can actually, when they formulate into your products, they can actually make a claim that it is a clean ingredient and a natural ingredient, and that's what we are here for.
Fantastic. And I think the fact that you are already supplying the Australian market, WH, that gives a lot of comfort and confidence to other Australian companies because you already know how to do the shipping, the clearance, and all those type of logistical requirements that smooth out that whole transaction.
Yeah, exactly, Lawrence. Actually, we have done our homework. We already got approval from TGA, the Therapeutic Goods Administration in Australia.
Yeah.
So companies in Australia are able to use our carotene as well as the tocotrienol form of vitamin E straight away without any regulatory issues and so forth, because we have all done the work in terms of legislation, in terms of regulatory approval. So companies in Australia are able to use our product immediately without any issue.
That's fantastic, and it's great groundwork that you've already established there, because everyone listening to this episode they'll just know that and think, okay, do you know what? All the hard work's done. Now we've just got to make sure that we can include these great products as ingredients or as part of the whole production strategy as well, and they can get in touch to fast track that growth. So thanks so much, WH.
Exactly, Lawrence. I appreciate it, and definitely we'd like to grow the Australian market, and would be appreciate of all the helps that we can get from MATRADE, as well as the leads that you guys hopefully be able to bring to Excelvite and grow the business for our mutual success, I guess.
Fantastic. Thanks so much for joining us, WH. It's been great to talk to you and look forward to meeting you sometime in the future when we can travel again. But for all of you viewing out there, as you've just heard, there's some fantastic natural product alternatives for your ingredients, for your vitamin supplements. So WH Leong from Excelvite can definitely support a lot of those inquiries coming through. You've already heard from Jamilah and Julius here at MATRADE in Australia. They can provide that conduit and put you straight in touch with WH, and you can start really teasing out some great opportunities to work together.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you, Lawrence. I really appreciate it. And, and some of you viewers may also want to visit our corporate website, which is www.excelvite.com. Feel free to get in touch with us, and we'll be happy to be of service.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, WH. Take care, and we'll look forward to speaking again sometime soon.
Thank you, Lawrence. I appreciate it.
So you've just heard from WH Leong from Excelvite. Coming up next is Gary Ha from Demand Options. So we'll see you very soon. Welcome back, everyone. You're watching the special mid-tier company market immersion series here with MATRADE on IETV. Now, joining us now from Malaysia is Mr. Gary Ha, the MD of Demand Options. Gary, thanks so much for joining us on today's episode.
Thank you very much.
So, Gary, I'd love to hear about Demand Options. I understand you do amazing metal fabrication and using really cool laser products as well, laser technology. So can you tell us about some of the products and some of the applications that you typically do?
Okay, basically we are in sheet metal and metal stamping, both processed all together. The sheet metal, basically we are supplying to the market like office automation and industrial appliances. We supply to people like HP, Hewlett Packard, which they produce quite a fair bit of those industrial plotter, and we support all sort of metal component to them.
Fantastic. And it sounds like you're already a well-established exporter. Do you export to other markets as well already?
We do a fair bit. Of course, obviously, we are looking for a bigger pie in this exportation area, and we do, in fact, do business with one of the Australian company, in fact.
Ah, fantastic.
But we send the goods over to Singapore for the final assembly.
Yeah. Great. So that's been an assembly process in Singapore for that Australian company.
Yep.
Great. And Gary, who are the type of companies you'd like to target here in Australia, and why are you excited about the Australian market specifically?
Okay, basically, first and foremost, I think Australia is very close to us, and this make the so-called any of the travel or the shipment of a good is quite convenient, and Australia is rich in resources and has a very strong fundamental of a local economy, and for the fact that Australia still continue to be innovative in their new product, and this what make us feel thrilled, to be able to tap into the market, in a much more wider spectrum.
Yeah, fantastic. And Gary, the laser cutting capabilities of, obviously, if your company's already supplying, global organisations like HP, you must have really strict quality control, really great end results, and great finish of your products.
Oh yeah, in fact, our quality, we have been working together with all these MNC for quite a number of years. It's not that it's not only with HP.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, we deal with Japanese company like Fujitsu, Mitsubishi, all this,
Mm-hmm.
and we are even deal with some of the European country like Sweden. So basically, in fact, our quality is quite well recognized. The quality standard that we achieve over the years. And we have all the quality system qualification certification like ISO 9000 and ISO 14000 as well.
Great.
And we even have a certification of ITAF, which is for those automotive industry.
You mentioned the automotive accreditation and the other great QMS and other ISO 14001. Are there any particular industry sectors or segments you'd like to target or really like to work with here in Australia?
For all the segment, electronic, be it electronic, home appliances, everything, which I think has got the component of metal. But obviously, in fact, we are going into the kind of direction of turnkey project. Our sister company, we have another 3 sister company which they are specialized in plastic. So this put it in a very, very good position to provide a one-stop service to those potential customers.
Fantastic, great. So it's a great, as you say, collaboration opportunity for Australian companies to work with you and these other sister companies as well. Gary, what are the things that what are the opportunities here in Australia? I think, from my perspective, are that since COVID, a lot of companies have had to look at manufacturing back again in Australia, and they've reinvigorated a lot of that process. So I'm assuming there'll be a great interest to work with you because you've got the opportunity to really provide a complete service, and you can complement their existing local value add or part combinations as well here in Australia. So it's a great opportunity for Australian companies who want to collaborate and bring in the value-added services that you offer. What are the best ways for Australian companies? They can get in touch with Jamilah and Julius here at MATRADE, but what are the websites? What's the best way they can look at the background of your company as well with demand options?
Oh, okay. In fact, we have a group website which I think Louis or another of our colleague has provided to the window of a MATRADE.
Okay.
Any of you can log in and see the strength of every of our subsidiary, and individually we do have our company profile, which are more than happy to send it over upon the customer request.
Fantastic. Thanks so much for joining us, Gary. I'm sure there's a lot of Australian companies who will view this episode and think that we need to look at our fabrication opportunities, make sure that they've got high quality, great price, great efficiency. And as you said yourself, Malaysia is literally on the doorstep of Australia. There's great free trade agreements. There's a great opportunity to collaborate and grow these markets together.
Yeah, we are looking forward to that.
Thanks so much, Gary. I really appreciate you joining the series, and best of luck with your growth here into the Australian market.
Thank you very much.
So that was another great company in demand options with Gary Ha and his team over there. Coming up next, we're going to speak to Kaltech with all our electromechanical solutions as well. So we'll see you very soon. Welcome back, everyone. You're watching the mid-tier company market immersion series here with MATRADE on IATV. Joining us now from Malaysia is Kelly Palani from Kaltech. How are you, Kelly?
Fine, thank you, and good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon. Welcome, and thank you for joining us on this exciting series on MATRADE's market immersion series.
Okay, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to talk on behalf of Kaltech.
Absolutely, our pleasure. So please, Kelly, tell us about Kaltech. Tell us about the products and services that you offer.
Okay, basically Kaltech has been around for 30 years in the manufacturing area. We design and manufacture automotive electronic parts in particular for the automotive industry in Germany as well as in US and in Asia, in some countries in Asia. Now, based on that aspect of it, we have actually designed the product that we are trying to promote in Australia, and that's the reverse camera, which is dedicated based on the technology that we have used now. It's a Wi-Fi single band reverse camera for recreational vehicles, trucks, and buses. Now, what it does is it works on a 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi band, and the camera is able to video stream to smart devices, including smartphones, and alternately to dedicated Kaltech design 7-inch LCD monitor. What's great about it, it's a world's first camera system, reverse camera systems, which works on LCD monitor as well as smartphones and smart devices.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic. I think that, as you're probably aware, Carly, there's a massive recreational vehicle sector here across Australia with caravans, campers, as well as the industrial trucking sector and so forth, which I'm sure that they'd be very interested in this type of product for their reversing camera solutions.
Okay. This is and there is a dedicated app firmware which has been developed by Kaltech that is provided to smart device customers for downloads. That's how it works. And as for customers of the Kaltech design LCD monitor, the camera is factory paired with the LCD monitor. So you can, if you bought and ended up installing the camera system that we have, without the LCD monitor, the camera works pretty well for with the smart devices. That's what I have to say.
Great. And Kelly, how easy is it to install? Is it very user-friendly?
Extremely easy. You can actually download it through the internet. So using your phone, you could download it. That's the app that you can do. And as far as the device is concerned, it works pretty well. Let me talk about the performance as well as the usage capabilities. Now, in open space, the video streaming distance for the reverse camera to the smart devices is greater than 200 meters, whereas it is about 300 meters for transmission of signals through camera onto the LCD monitor. It performs better with the LCD monitor than the smart devices. Okay, the camera system would be the world's first unit that works on dual mode. When I say it's a dual mode, it works on smartphones or alternately on the LCD monitor. The world currently has such reverse cameras which only either works on the smartphone or on the LCD monitor that the manufacturer of the camera builds as well.
Great. So this does both. Wonderful. Great. And Kelly, I mean, you've obviously got some fantastic products there with Kaltech. Are you exporting to other markets as well as Australia? Are you looking at other global markets at the moment?
We developed this particular camera actually based on a request from a US customer. Yeah. Now, they will remain as the OE customer for this product, and alternately, we are actually in parallel designing and completing the design now for the after-sales market. Now, the OE, as you can imagine, it's the product is designed for that specific cameras for the particular customer, whereas we have to dedicate for other customers a special camera which is meant for the open market. Now, having your questions being asked, let me also say that the market penetration is not only into the US area. We have started discussions with the Koreans to market it within Korea and as well as in Japan. That's the serious markets that we have discussed now.
Fantastic. And what excites you about the Australian market as part of this special series that we're doing with MATRADE? What's exciting to you about the Australian market, and what type of customers or companies would you like to work with here?
Now, the Australian market, as you can understand, is close to Malaysia, which makes it easy for logistics, and it burdens us less considering the travel. But as a result of the recent pandemic that we are all facing, there is a general consensus in the manufacturing sectors where companies are actually looking for alternative methods of actually methods as well as outside of the traditional Chinese options. So this is an opportunity which allows Kaltech to actually explore the Australian market potentials and realizing that Australia is a little bit of an open market where it sources its requirements from many countries, but given the pandemic, as I was mentioning just now, it gives us a better opportunity to penetrate into the Australian market. And knowing that your RV market is top 5 in the world gives us an opportunity, and knowing that we have a product which can compete against the top level makes of brands in the world, which is performing just as good. I think we have an opportunity to penetrate into the Australian market, this with the quality product that we are talking about.
Fantastic. I think that, as I said earlier, there's a lot of recreational vehicles, there's a lot of aftermarket sales right across Australia. What type of, for the viewers who are watching this episode, Kali, who are the type of companies you'd like to talk to? Is it companies who are obviously doing the aftermarket wholesale distribution, or retailers themselves? What are the type of inquiries you'd like to obtain out of this?
In this particular case, with regards to who would be looking us up, I think the Australian caravan business, based on surveys done by MATRADE and ourselves as well in Australia, we have found that Australia has got many players in the market with regards to manufacturing. At the same time, the after-sales market is also a huge one. So we are able to actually accommodate either one of this or even both of those markets. That means the OE market as well as the after-sales market. In which case, in both cases, our representative in Australia is able to actually assist in marketing this product Australia-wide.
Fantastic. So you've already got someone here in Australia who can help fast-track those opportunities.
Right. Core Environmentals with Matthew Shepard out there is been a long friend of ours who has been actually in the business for a long period of time, and we have built our relationship over the last 10 years. So I know him personally. And Kaltech has also done many business in Australia for other products, including UPS systems, and as well as for trains. We have built control devices for trains in Sydney. The Veritas train in Sydney is actually using a lot of our components for that matter. Wonderful.
So you're very established and very capable to help Australian companies to really take advantage of this great product. So that's great. And I'm sure the local partner here can work with all those inquiries. I know that all the viewers here, we've got MATRADE, Jamilah, Julius, and they'll be responding to a lot of those inquiries as well. And I'm sure that they'll work with you and Matthew to open all those doors and discussions and dialogues to build those relationships.
Right.
Thanks so much, Kali. I think it's been wonderful to have you on the show. Congratulations on participating in such a groundbreaking series. As you said, unfortunately, with the pandemic, the travel that you may normally come into Australia and actually showcase and demonstrate the products, we've all been restricted. But with this platform, I'm sure there's many viewers out there. Australians love their recreational vehicles, they love their caravans and trucks and so forth, and four-wheel driving. So I'm sure there'll be plenty of people watching this and be quite interested to find out more about Kaltech.
Thank you so much for giving us the opportunity. I think what you will realize is Kaltech is quite a distance away, at least 8 hours flight from Sydney. But I think you know that it's good to have a representative within Australia. And since we have somebody close at home at Sydney, I think the customers should be feeling comfortable to actually approach Matthew to actually get to know the products much better.
Totally agree. It's you couldn't ask for anything more than that. You've got someone local who can help show them and showcase the product for them. So it's congratulations on having that very smart approach.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Kali. Stay safe, and we'll look forward to speaking to you again very soon. So,
Bye-bye.
Thank you. So there you've heard from Kali from Kaltech over in Malaysia. As you've heard, they've already got an Australian representation who can help fast-track your opportunities to do business with them here. And they've got OE product opportunities as well as aftermarket. So really reach out and help and find out how they can help your business if you're interested in that type of product. So coming up, we've got MDT Innovations talking about all their IoT, really exciting stuff. So stick around, we'll see you very soon. Welcome back, everyone. I've got the pleasure now to be joined by Honwai Sim, who's the COO from MDT Innovations. Hi, Honwai, how are you?
I am fine. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us on this really remarkable series of showcasing, the companies out of Malaysia who are wanting to come into Australia and do some great business. So please tell us about MDT. I know you're doing some really exciting projects, and I'd love to hear more about that for our viewers.
Yeah. I'll be very excited to share some of the experiences that we have. So maybe let me give a bit of snapshot about the company, MDT Innovations. We have been quite some time back. We've started back in 2004. Not really a startup, a brand new company. We've been in business for quite some time, but we always actually try to propel ourselves with new technology, new businesses, new R&D. So we call ourselves a deep tech company, mainly focusing on Internet of Things and AI. So these are the two areas that we are actually getting a lot of tractions, not just only in Malaysia. We've been doing a lot of export sales. In fact, our local Malaysian sales are just only 2%, wow. Unfortunately. Well, maybe there are many factors due to probably Malaysia is a smaller market. And we find that more opportunities outside of Malaysia, especially in Asia-Pacific region, especially. That includes Australia potentially, which we are very keen at. So, of course, when we talk about IoT, there are several areas that we can actually do things with. For example, we are very strong in people management. We manage people movement from point A to point B within the compound. Some of the customers are education sectors in the school, especially in the manufacturing sector, like people in a factory environment. We manage the movement of people in and out, especially I think in this COVID-19 situation, the demand for this kind of data, for social distancing application is actually getting more and more demanding. So I think we feel that a lot of these opportunities are coming up in a regional basis, if it's not the whole world. And of course, we do get ourselves involved in a lot of things management. Of course, in IoT, we manage people, we manage things as well. So one of the major solutions that we are very much focused is actually in healthcare and hospitality environment. So in healthcare environment, and also hospitality, we are also very deep into linen management, which Well, to a lot of people, it may sound a bit lame, but I think lean management is consisting one of the main operating costs in healthcare and hospitality. So that is why we have actually developed a series of technologies, including an RFID tag, which is a yarn-based and linen-based that can be sewn on any apparels, and it can be washable. And the good thing is actually, especially in healthcare environment, this RFID tag is actually able to work in magnetic resonance environment, which means the MRI machines and CT scan machine will not be able to trigger any hazardous compound or even consequences that may actually either injure the patient or damage the machine.
Yeah, so that sounds amazing, Hon.
What we are,
Yeah, that sounds like such groundbreaking technology, because I mean we all hear about wearables and a lot of people look at it from a health, fitness, and all the type of things that most companies or individuals are used to. But when you apply it to such important sectors like healthcare, and even my background with supply chain and track and trace, there's some great enablers that you can offer with these type of things to improve safety, visibility, a whole range of benefits that your type of products are offering.
Yeah, definitely. And also to achieve the performances and also the usability of this track and trace system, we have actually invested a lot of our time and resources in R&D. Not only that, we also filed intellectual property, not restricting in Malaysia only. We have actually IP filed in Australia and New Zealand, and strategically, and as well, we have also filed our IPs in Japan, China, of course, Southeast Asia region. So I think we believe in protecting IP, and we believe that intellectual property is the one that can actually propel ourselves and keep ourselves abreast against the competitors. So that is what we call ourselves, deep tech company.
Yeah, it's a great strategy. Hon, can I ask, so you mentioned that you've been around for a while and you're already doing so much great export global business. What interests you about Australia? What type of customers or sectors, or who do you want to do business with here in Australia?
Well, I think Australia has been always an interesting market to me, and despite that, comparably, the population is not very huge. I think now, 55 million.
Yeah, it's about 25, 26 million.
Yeah. So, but I think if you look at Australia, as a whole, holistically, it's a very advanced mindset. The so-called adoption rate of new technology, it's actually very high, and people are willing and more than willing to actually pay for new technology. So that is what, unlike we have found in other markets, of course, not to discredit, other markets' adoption in terms of new technology, but we always find Australians are very into new things and always, strive for perfection, by adopting new technologies into the day-to-day operation and businesses. So that is why we always like Australia, and it, I would say, even though the market is small, probably the kind of margin, that we can actually make out of Australia, it's probably higher than some other countries. Right. I think this is due to the fact probably Australians are no nonsense people. If this work, they will pay for it, and if not work, and then goodbye and thank you very much, So not like other countries that we have actually encountered, like especially in the Far East, they've been always very price sensitive, a lot of relationship needed, in order to excel in business. And especially in Southeast Asia, it's even more price sensitive because people generally are not willing to spend on new technologies and always go on labor intensive. They feel labor intensive operation is even cheaper, easier to control. So I think that is what differs between Australians and the rest of the world, especially Southeast Asia.
Yeah, I totally agree, Hon. I think that if you can have technology that has got an ROI to offset higher labour costs or increase efficiencies and reduce productivity, lockjams, then what you're offering is very appealing to Australian companies, because we don't have the economies of scale with the mass population, and because the labour rates can be quite high compared to some of those other markets you've mentioned. So, yeah.
So especially like Australia is a high-income society. Labor cost is extremely expensive. So businesses are so keen to look into new technologies that can actually, not to really get rid of labor costs, but actually to increase efficiency and productivity. and at the same time, of course, reduce wastages, increase yield, productivity, and etc. So these are the things that Australians businesses and companies are always pretty forefront in this thing, in this area.
Great. And Hon, I mean, there's so many mind-boggling applications I can think of with IoT devices. You've mentioned healthcare, you've got other sectors as well. For the viewers of this show, who would you are you looking to find a partner or distributor partner here in Australia, or you just wanted to get those inquiries directly to your office in Malaysia, and then you'll build those relationships amongst that?
Well, I think first and foremost, of course, Australia is still quite a distance away from Malaysia, but it's just probably an overnight flight, from KL to Sydney, and probably it's just only 4 hours from KL to Perth. We still prefer to work with partners in Australia, and due to the fact that first and foremost, we may not be able to knock on every customer's door on our own. It's going to be time consuming, time to market is going to be lengthy, and we want to actually have a partner to know a bit of Australian culture, and also know and handhold us, in order to actually strive this business together. So partnership is always pretty important, and we believe in our 16 years of existence in this business, we always work with key partners, resellers, and even channel partners in order to expand our businesses.
Fantastic, great. I think that, as I said, there'll be so many viewers watching this episode, listening to you, thinking, yes, I'd love to have, track and trace, RFID, IoT technology that could, go through warehouses, hospitality, healthcare, logistics, all these type of opportunities that would work with your type of products. What's the best way that companies who are watching this episode can look at, I'm assuming you've got a website and other ways that they can look at the company profile and the range of products?
Yeah, we do have a website. It's www.mmdt.cc, and the range of products are actually listed there. But I think if we talk about the business model that we can actually achieve with potential partners in Australia, so I think partners in Australia can look at us as one of the backbone technology enabler for applications that both sides may want to achieve. For example, let's say we talk about retail environment. We have actually done some pilot projects in Australia as well, in managing trolleys, trolley management. I think that is it may sound lame again, but of course very costly to maintain trolleys. Yeah. And they may be scattered around. People just push trolleys back to their homes and etc., and they don't return back to the retailers. That is number one cost. Number two, we look into areas like electronic shelf labels. Pricing can be updated instantaneously by wireless communication without needing to reprint the paper and stick it back to the shelves. So these are some of the potentials that we can look into, and I think the partners potentially that we will be working with can look at us as a key technology enabler. Yeah. And also, if there is a need of any customization to suit Australian market and Australian business environment, I think we are at the right proposition, because we do our own design. We go deep down into embedded, and we can actually produce the products and the devices ourselves from scratch. So that is where the value proposition is, which probably, I mean, there will be definitely a lot of embedded IC engineers or electronic designers in Australia. But to take that into production and to scale it out, it's probably going to be more costly in Australia compared to where we're coming from.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic. As you say, that the bespoke solution that you can offer, the way that you can project manage specific task outcomes with companies here in Australia and partner with them sounds really amazing. So congratulations on that. So thanks so much for joining us. I know that, I'm sure we'll get many inquiries from companies watching this episode, and I'm sure they'll reach out to Jamilah, Julius at MATRADE here in Australia. And hopefully, when travel opens up again, I'll get to meet you in person, and love to. I know that this is very much the way of the future with IoT, all the technologies, and it's exciting times. So congratulations on all the great work you're doing, Hon.
Thank you. I look forward to be in Australia again. Of course, the COVID situation is not helping. I miss traveling a lot. We've been so far flying quite often before the COVID strike, and this year has been just like grounded.
Yeah, it is frustrating, but still opportunities for companies to build those relationships via these type of platforms, get in touch with you, and start really building the foundation so that they can take advantage of those great technologies that you've got to offer.
Yeah. I think so. That should be the way to move things forward.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Hon.
right.
Absolute delight to speak with you. All the best with your business success. And as I said, I look forward to meeting you in person sometime soon.
Sometime soon, hopefully.
All right. Take care. Speak to you. So you've just heard from Hon Sim there from MDT Innovations. Amazing products. IoT is definitely the way of the future across so many sectors for retail, industrial, and Malaysia is really at the cutting edge, and as you've heard from Hon there, they can even create bespoke solutions for what you need as well. So reach out, get in touch, and I'm sure there's so many applications that you may not even have thought of yet, but it's worth having a question and speaking to Hon and his team. Coming up after the break, we're going to speak to Veritas architects around some of their great architectural services as well. So we'll see you very soon. Welcome back, everyone. You're watching the Market Immersion mission here on MATRADE's special episode on Import-Export TV. Joining us now, both in Malaysia and here in Victoria, we've got the great people at Veritas Architects. Just kicking off with David Hashim over in KL. Hi, David. How are you?
I'm good, thanks, Lawrence. How are you?
Great. Thanks for joining us. We've got Anton Alers here in Mornington. How are you, Anton?
Very good, thank you, Lawrence. Looking forward to this.
Great. And last but not least, we've got Miguel over in Malaysia as well.
Good morning or good afternoon in Australia.
Great. Thanks for joining us, Miguel. So, I'm delighted to have all three of you on this special interview to talk about Veritas and all the great services that you're offering. So I'm going to kick off with a few questions, if I can, to you, David, please tell us about Veritas Architects and all the great things that you've been doing.
Thanks, Lawrence. So Veritas Architects is a 33-year-old practice founded in Malaysia, which has now spread its wings to many countries, including Australia, about 12 years ago. We are primarily an architectural-focused practice, but we are also multidisciplinary in the sense that we provide master planning, urban design, landscape design, interior design, environmental consulting, and some engineering services. So we're a full scope, multidisciplinary design firm. We are in 7 countries, but we're very focused on the Australian market. Australia is very close to us. We have many cultural and family and corporate business connections with Australia. So it's always been a focus of our intended growth beyond our own shores. So we are primarily architectural design practice, but a number of other services that go along with it.
Fantastic. It sounds like, as you say, you've been around for a very long time, and the whole, project management from end to end sounds like it's an amazing capability, because you can basically be that one-stop shop as Veritas for so many major projects. So that's exciting. I'm also interested about the sustainability piece, because that I can appreciate it probably be a major growth opportunity for so many companies now around the world who need to make sure that all their designs are as sustainable as possible.
Well, in fact, we like to think beyond the sustainability paradigm because of the recent pandemic, and also it's made awareness of future dangers that are forthcoming, primarily climate change related. So beyond just sustainability, we think of resilience. It's a slightly different concept from sustainability. It's now appearing in our work in a number of different ways. So Veritas has always been proud of the work we've done in this area. We've won more awards and recognition for our work in sustainability. Most of our projects have green credentials of some kind, whether they're LEED or Green Mark or Green RE, Platinum, Silver, Gold. Almost every project aspires to achieve the highest and most responsible ways of dealing with environmental issues.
That's great, David. David, I want to ask you, before we talk about Australia, I want to ask you about, I'd imagine with working with so many countries already, that you'd have to navigate so many different legislations, regulations, and design requirements, so that you'd actually be able to learn from each of those projects around the world and bring all that expertise into every other market as well. Would that be correct?
Yes, correct. We don't pretend to know local conditions, local regulations, local market of the countries we work in. We've worked in 30 over countries. We're currently active in about 10. Which is why, for example, in the case of very sophisticated markets like in Victoria in Australia, we would never even attempt, we wouldn't even try to do work and export our services to very sophisticated markets like that without partners. And that's why Anton Alers, who you will meet later, is absolutely critical. He's our expert, as you were. Melbourne, born and bred, he's worked there his whole life or much of his life. And, without someone like Anton, we wouldn't be able to export our services to Melbourne. And that's why we have partners like Anton.
It's fantastic. And I know that the viewers of this episode who will hear this and think, you know what, I want to work with Veritas. It's so comforting to know that they've got a local representative who can help fast track the communication, the dialogue, and convert those opportunities as quickly as possible. So, it's a great segue, David, for me to ask Anton about his experience and what he'd like to achieve here with the Australian market for Veritas, and how being part of this immersion mission, opens up so much more opportunities and visibility for Veritas. So, Anton, over to you, mate. If you can tell us a bit more about your background and how you can, really untap some of these opportunities that are emerging, especially post-pandemic. I think there is a huge resurgence of infrastructure builds and a lot more projects that the governments will support, and even private companies are looking to reinvigorate now post-COVID. Anton, are you able to here just to check on making sure you can hear?
Thank you, Lawrence. Yes, it's a very interesting world that we live in now, and it's certainly a global world. And the restrictions on travel brought in by COVID, of course, have in one way enabled us to seize the virtual opportunities. It's been mentioned I'm here in Melbourne. David, Miguel are in our KL office. We work seamlessly across international borders to deliver projects, and we've been doing this for over 10 years with Veritas Australia. In fact, we set up Veritas Australia with a couple of key objectives. One of them was to develop the healthcare and aged care market sectors for our company in Asia. And that's actually taken off rather well. So we've been very successful, particularly in Malaysia, with our healthcare projects, hospitals, but also aged care, which is a market that's dear to my heart. And I've been looking at promoting for, over 20 years in Southeast Asia. That's beginning to bear fruit. But we also take the experience that we have in Southeast Asia back in here into the Australian market, because we can see the benefits when they arise in providing design opportunities here and just thinking outside the box. Now, David's mentioned resilience. For our projects, particularly in healthcare, hospitals, aged care, resilience is becoming a much more important part of the whole process of design. And we'd love to work with clients that share these philosophies, not only of being energy efficient, but also making buildings that are going to last, be resilient, robust, and be able to be adaptive to changing circumstances. Now, getting back to the purpose of this interactive trade session, one of the prime reasons we also set up Veritas Australia was for a conduit for Malaysian investors, developers, to come into the Australian market. Now, we've seen some of the top tier listed developers in Malaysia extending into Melbourne, particularly, as well as Sydney, into those markets. But we also see the opportunity of pairing developers here in Melbourne with potential investors from abroad through our network. So it can be a two-way street. We also are aware of some Australian healthcare operators, such as Ramsay, who are moving on a more international scale into Indonesia, UK, and we would like to be able to assist them in their ventures, particularly into Southeast Asia, where we've got a very good network established. So this is the idea of a two-way street, where I think our services and our network can be of benefit to both the Australian market and the Malaysian developers, say, coming into Australia.
Yeah, I really agree with that, Anton. I think it's really heartening to hear about that strategy, because especially in those two sectors you mentioned, like healthcare, aged care, a lot of those opportunities, companies will do some projects in certain countries, and then they'll springboard into a regional solution and offer those services in a regional strategic plan. So by having that network of partners around the region, around the world, I think puts you in a very strong position to really provide that, as you say, two-way investment, strategic planning, and really opens up so many opportunities, not just in Australia, but so much more as well. So you mentioned, the healthcare, the aged care. For the viewers of this episode, Anton, what are the other type of sectors? I mean, it sounds like when speaking to David earlier, you've got a whole breadth of different industry expertise. In Australia, particularly now that with there's a lot of infrastructure investment, the government's going to throw a lot of support around those type of things. Are there, outside of the aged care and healthcare, are there other industry sectors you'd really like to showcase?
Yes, definitely, Lawrence. Two in particular. The first being education. Mm-hmm. I'm still involved with the University of Melbourne through one of the colleges on their councils, and we're doing work with Monash University in Malaysia at the moment. And we're looking at campuses in Vietnam as well for certain colleges. We've done a lot of education work for, let's call them elite private teaching organisations. And David, I'm sure you can rattle off all the names in Malaysia that we've worked with. So education is one of our prime areas of interest. But the other is infrastructure design and transport-oriented design. And I think here I could probably pass back to David, or Miguel even, who can talk more about some of these transport-oriented design projects, including infrastructure that we've been involved with, particularly in Malaysia, such as the light rail system there.
Yeah, transportation has always been a passion of mine ever since I was a little kid playing with my train sets. And now, as an architect, it's been a delight to be able to transform those imaginations into built work. So we're involved in every form of mass transit you can think of, from bus rapid transit systems, BRTs, to monorail systems, light rail transit systems, mass rail transit. And currently we're working on our first high-speed rail system, which will be linking Kuala Lumpur to Singapore. A very exciting project, which will be, it's already been launched. We'll start under construction maybe by end of next year. We look to Australia as well because you have a very sophisticated urban rail network system, which is an inspiration for developing countries. So we're learning from each other. And I think this is something that we can continue to explore together further.
Yeah, I think it's very true, David. I think Australia is, we've got so many great opportunities from infrastructure perspective, even with my background with supply chain, logistics, warehousing optimization. Architectural solutions are really important now for companies to maximise, as you say, the resilience, sustainability, the cost efficiencies even. But they've also got to be aesthetically pleasing. They've got to be fun to work in. And, it sounds that you guys are a really fun, dynamic and creative team, not just a practical team and solutions, but somewhere you can just get the vibe from all three of you that, you're really going to be passionate about trying to create a design that's beautiful as well.
These things are very interesting how they evolved, because many years ago when I was living in Malaysia, we were the local consultants in Malaysia working with the Snowy Mountains Electric Corporation on their Pergao hydroelectric scheme. And for them, it was fantastic having a few Australians in an office to be able to communicate and speak the lingo and get together on a Friday. But it just made that transition for them into the working environment in Malaysia so much easier.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's so many applications that I'm sure that, again, the viewers of this show will think, you know what, we want to be able to talk not just in private enterprise, but I can imagine even, the PPP opportunities with government as well who watch these episodes who'll think, you know what, we need to partner with people like Veritas to create transport solutions, infrastructure solutions, health, education, all those great sectors that you're already experts in your own right. And if you like, Australianise those and make them workable and practical here in Australia.
Yeah. Lawrence, just if I can, the last thing I'd like to say is while the exporting of our services to Australia is a business and a professional aspiration of ours, I think what gives me the biggest kick is the idea of the cultural. It's building bridges, it's building friendships, it's building a network of contacts and bringing our two countries closer together. For me, that's the most fun I get out of this whole arrangement that we have in expanding to Australia.
Yeah.
It's about building bridges.
Yeah. Oh, I love that sentiment, David. Congratulations on and really distilling that passion across the team, because as I said earlier, you can feel that. And as architects, I'm sure it's not just about making money and making projects. It's all about leaving great legacies and something that stands the test of time, as they say, as architects. So I really commend all of you on what you're doing with Veritas. It looks like a really exciting team, and I'm sure that there'll be so many viewers wanting to get in touch. What's the best way they can check out some of the projects that you're working on? Is it through the Veritas Australia side, or what's the best go-to platform they can have a look at some of the team and some of the projects?
Miguel, would you like to answer Lawrence?
Yeah, sure. We have a website that is shared by all the international offices, and you can visit the veritasdesigngroup.com, where you can be linked to the work that we do in our international offices as well. So this is the best way to visit our work. We have also a Facebook profile, Veritas Design Group, and an Instagram account name alike. And these are the places in the social media where you can find more about us.
Fantastic. Thanks, Miguel. And I'm sure in addition to all those contacts, all of the viewers here watching, you can reach out to Julius and Jamilah here at MATRADE offices in Australia as well, and they'll put you in touch with the team across, or with Anton, Miguel and David as necessary as well. So thanks so much for all three of you to join us. I'm really excited for you to be part of this Immersion mission, and I'm sure you'll get many inquiries to find out how you can help Australian companies to literally design a new future for themselves.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lawrence.
Thanks, Anton. Thanks, Miguel. Thanks, David. Wish you all the best, and hopefully we can see each other sometime soon in the future.
Looking forward to it. All the best.
Anton, you should visit the MATRADE office in Melbourne more often.
I should, when we're allowed out of our 25-kilometre radius.
Absolutely.
Which might happen on Sunday.
Fingers crossed. That'll be good. Thanks, Anton. Thanks, David. Thanks, Miguel. I look forward to staying in touch. So there you've heard from the guys at Veritas Architects. As you can hear, they've got literally a wealth of global experience across multi-sectors, and no matter what you need here to design projects, they've got a full end-to-end solution with landscape, sustainability, resilience. So they've got some fantastic service offerings that you should really investigate and see how they can help you. That's it, wrapping up for part one. Coming up very soon is part two of this series, where we're going to be talking to many more Malaysian companies about what they've got to offer here in Australia and how you can work with them to build great opportunities for the future. We'll see you very soon. Cheers.